Like who? Who's doing it? You said Chauncey?
Chauncey's the coach, right?
Okay.
Portland. No.
I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad.
The sport of basketball is consistently evolving. We are witnessing players more skilled at the game than ever. Yet for some reason, the media surrounding the sport can't wait to hate and bury nearly everything the sport has to offer. Whether it's old players saying the new players suck, pundits saying anything for attention on ESPN, or even current players hating on the league, it's safe to say the NBA has a serious media issue. How did this happen? Because when I grew up, watching SportsCenter every single morning was one of my favorite pastimes. I remember getting ready for school while watching JJ Redick destroy Maryland as a member of Duke University's basketball team. And I remember getting insightful analysis from a wide range of incredible personalities. Well, in this video, we're here to discuss it. So make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to get the latest NBA news to your device. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? First off, let's establish some facts before we talk about the current state of NBA media. When you're at an airport, a doctor's office, a barbershop, the mall, basically any public space, and they're playing sports media, there's usually one channel on, and that is ESPN. When you're watching a game on ABC, TNT, or ESPN, what plays at halftime? A halftime show that's supposed to go over the current game and the entire day's slate of games. Because of both of these facts, oftentimes these shows will have massive ratings. So massive, in fact, that Stephen A. Smith just signed a new $100 million contract with ESPN, a deal that's worth more than Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Jared Allen, and many other players' contracts. Yes, the individual that said this recently as a result of the video I took of him at the Knicks game.
Next thing you know, out of the blue, LeBron came in my face.
Let's establish one more fact though. Just because NBA media has millions of viewers and rakes in millions of dollars doesn't mean it's quality media. Let's just take a look at these two clips side by side very quickly.
We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. Are you listening, LeBron James? Are you listening, James family? Are you listening, all of you people? Because here's my position. My position was all along, Bronny James needed to be in the G League. Put him in the G League, let him be in the G League his first year, and then after that, let him come on, because I've always believed that this kid has the potential, once I watched him, to be in the NBA.
I mean, are we serious here? You can see the problem here, right? It seems like they're consistently hopping sides and changing their takes to whatever seems to be the hottest take at that moment. I personally can understand takes on Bronny James because my original take on the matter was, yeah, it's clear he got the position because of his dad. But you can't go from saying that Bronny does not deserve to be in the NBA and he's never going to be a good NBA player to saying that you always thought Bronny had potential to be an NBA player. It just causes people to not take you as seriously. And let me be clear, I don't care if you think Bronny deserves to be in the NBA or if he's just in the NBA because of his dad, because you can have either of those opinions. You can even change your opinion, that's fine, but you can't sit there and say one opinion and then a month later change your entire opinion and then say that's what your opinion was the entire time. It's literally like these media personalities are trying to gaslight the audience, and as a result, it devalues any of their takes to begin with. When you keep consistently saying that you had the right take the whole time and you never hold yourself accountable for your wrong takes, then your audience is going to start losing trust in you. I mean, just take a look at the way I opened up my last video on this channel on James Harden and the Los Angeles Clippers. I came out of the gate saying that I believe James Harden ruined his career, and I opened up the video by saying I was wrong. You guys know me. Whenever I put out a take and I'm incorrect, I'll hold myself accountable. I'll bring it to light. I'll bring it to your attention. I'm not always correct. I don't think my original take on this was based off of nothing, and I didn't think it was possible for James Harden to even get close to his prime, but it seems like he's proven me wrong. And there are just so many examples of that we're gonna get to in this video, but I want to continue talking about Stephen A for a moment. I mean, look at this video. This is literally just a year ago. Stephen A. Smith is literally dapping up Bronny and they're both smiling. How does this situation completely devolve? I truly don't know. And I've said this multiple times on this channel. I like Stephen A. Smith as an entertainer. I feel like it's difficult to do your job when you're overworked to the magnitude that Stephen A. Smith is, and the guy does a lot for ESPN on top of running his own podcast. There's no denying the growth and entertainment value that Stephen A. has brought to sports media. And it's so weird how he's so willing to change his opinion on the fly about a player that he's had a past relationship with. But maybe you think I bag on Stephen A. Smith a little bit too much. So let's talk about one of my favorite basketball players from childhood and currently one of my favorite DJs, Shaquille O'Neal, a man who is paid literally millions of dollars per year to sit on TV and talk about teams that he clearly doesn't watch. And if you think this is just me accusing Shaquille O'Neal of not knowing ball, no, this is something that he's admitted himself. It's actually bizarre for him to admit this.
Great player. I like the way he's playing. I like what Chauncey is doing. My favorite player on that team is Isaiah Stewart. A lot of push
No, I
people
can't let
around.
this go.
Jay,
Like who? Who's doing it? You said Chauncey?
Chauncey's the coach, right?
Okay. I was like, I can't let this go.
JB Bickerstaff. That's what I meant. I don't watch Detroit. How about that?
It's kind of wild to suggest that you don't watch one of the resurging teams in the Eastern Conference. I mean, at the time that I'm making this video, the Detroit Pistons aren't a lottery team. They're not a fringe play-in team. They're not even a play-in team. They're the 6th seed in a very deep Eastern Conference. Their resurgence needs to be credited and glorified, especially when you consider the fact that this is a small market team. Shaq is a man who is on multiple post-game shows, makes weekly podcast appearances, and doesn't watch one of the best up-and-coming teams in the NBA. I mean, you know what? Let's give the Detroit Pistons some shine right now. Let me do their job for them. We're talking about a team that is 17-8 from January 31st to March 23rd, a team that is certainly going to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, a team that set the record for the most consecutive losses in the NBA last year. I mean, this is one of the greatest comebacks in sports, and nobody is talking about it. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? Not only does Shaq not know who the coach is, not only does he not watch the games, but he doesn't even bother to look at the box scores or the standings on a daily basis.
The Detroit Pistons right now.
Oh, stop it. They're boring too. Get
No.
Bro, 4 games under 500.
They've won 7 in a row.
Whoopee freaking do.
And I don't think they're 4 games under 500.
All right, what are they?
I'm going to look it up right now. And if you're right, I'm going to be pissed. They're 6 games over 500. They've won 7 in a row. 10 games better than he thought.
That's not success.
They need to be 70-4.
40-20. We talked about it.
So we can only talk about 3 teams?
Bro, the Detroit Pistons ain't winning no championship. Stop it.
If you don't watch the NBA, if you don't watch the product that you're commentating on, your fans are going to be able to tell. And I'll admit to you guys, there was a brief dark period in my NBA fandom where it was very obvious that I was not watching the games. I'm talking about very shortly after the Los Angeles Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook. I don't mean to sound melodramatic. My love for basketball started to die. It's crazy. It was just so difficult for me to sit down and watch the Los Angeles Lakers waste LeBron James and Anthony Davis like that. It really crushed my soul. It was very difficult for me to watch basketball games, and it really reflected in my content. Subscribers started to decline, viewership started to decline, and to be honest, it was deserved. Obviously, I learned from that mistake, but fans could tell, your followers could tell, viewers could tell, and then your analysis turns into that. I mean, what was this entire back and forth? This is something I would expect to hear at lunch with my friends or talking to a coworker. Not one of the greatest centers of all time, not one of the greatest basketball personalities of all time. Are you kidding me? Not only does Shaq not know the record of the Pistons, and he refuses to acknowledge or stand by his original marker of success, but then he says they aren't successful since they have no real shot to win a championship? I mean, can we break down in depth why this makes no sense and what it means for the NBA media and culture overall? First off, I want to address Shaq's seemingly incredible incredible hot take about the Pistons not winning a championship this year. I mean, what? Of course they're not going to win a championship, Shaq. This is a team that won 17 games 2 years ago and 14 games last season. The fact that they're even remotely competitive right now and have a young core for success in the future is a marker of success in of itself. This is a weird thing I've seen happen in NBA media, and it's mostly been blurted out by guys like Skip Bayless and Shaq himself. For example, have you been watching it Inside the NBA and one of the guys is dogging Shaq about something and all he replies is, "Oh, well, I have more rings than you." That's what I'm talking about. Are championships the best marker of success? Of course. And the now infamous ex-New York Jets head coach, Herm Edwards,
"You play to win the game."
You play to win. You play in order to win a championship, and this is definitely true, but that doesn't mean someone who doesn't win a championship isn't great or hasn't had success in their career. I mean, in the case of the Detroit Pistons, the fact that you're able to watch your team be competitive in the Eastern Conference for the first time since 2019 as an 8th seed, and prior to that in 2016 as an 8th seed. I mean, the last time the Detroit Pistons made it to the playoffs and they had an opportunity to win a championship was the 2007 to 2008 season, and the year prior, well, their exit in the playoffs was actually more famous because that was the first time we saw LeBron James carry the Cleveland Cavaliers on his back at a very young age. I mean, Pistons fans haven't seen their team this competitive in so long, and it's even more exciting because they're watching a young core grow with one another. I mean, let's take a look at an inverse situation here, like Kevin Durant, who had to go to Golden State in order to win championship. Let's just ignore those seasons. Are we saying Kevin Durant winning MVP, becoming one of, if not the best pure scorer of all time, and being named an 11-time All-NBA player isn't a mark of success? Of course it is, but to Shaq, that isn't success. Or let's take a look at Allen Iverson or Chris Paul, two guards who have been idolized, changed the game in their own ways, have literally set cultural trends, and both are Hall of Famers. You're telling me those guys aren't successful just because they never won a championship? Are you kidding me? This encapsulates what's wrong with NBA media right now. It has become oversimplified and is being talked about people who clearly don't care about the sport. I want to talk about Stephen A. Smith first because I think the issues he brings to NBA media can't be projected across all sports. That is not the biggest issue with NBA media, but when ex-players who people idolized growing up are going on national TV and literally spouting nonsense, telling people the game is boring, that's a problem. When that same person goes and says one of the most interesting teams in the association with one of the best storylines over the last 3 or 4 years isn't worth watching, that's a problem. But it's not even old retired players like Shaq anymore. I mean, look at what Draymond Green said during All-Star Weekend.
"I'm coaching some team," and she's right, some team that no one wants to see. I had to work so hard to play on Sunday night of All-Star Weekend because ratings are down, because the game's bad. We're bringing in rising stars. That's not a fix.
1 to 10, your thoughts of the format?
10 being the best?
Yes.
A 0. Sucks.
We simply cannot allow these people to represent the game of basketball on national television. Part of the reason I loved basketball so much growing up is because I saw how seriously players took it, particularly my favorite player, the late great Kobe Bryant. I saw the level of intensity he played with, and it didn't matter if he had a competitive roster or he didn't have a competitive roster. In the latter parts of his career, Kobe went viral for calling his teammates soft like Charmin, even though this team had no way to compete in the Western Conference. His intensity and the seriousness in which he took the game is why I fell in love with the game to begin with. If a kid who has never watched basketball or might have watched it slightly in the past but has no reason or purpose to get involved in the game sees what Stephen A., Shaq, or Draymond is saying, they will not continue to watch basketball. It's that simple. If Peyton Manning got on TV and told people that the current state of football sucks and he doesn't watch it, that would hurt the league. Instead, he literally owns a production company that helps tell stories about the league in order to grow it. As a matter of fact, I challenge everyone to find one clip of an NFL player talking about how the state of the NFL is bad. You do have Tom Brady going out there and criticizing it on his podcast, that he's seeing some poor quality football being played by some of the quarterbacks in the league. He's not saying there's something wrong with the game itself. He's saying that some of these quarterbacks need to step up their game. If Randy Johnson got on live TV and told people that the MLB he sucked, it would impact the growth of the league. Instead, he's a photographer taking photos of the game, helping it grow. I feel like the NBA is the only association or league on the planet where its pundits actively put the product down, when in reality that's simply not the case. The form of basketball each team plays is not repetitive, it's not boring, it's unique to each team and their skill sets, and is extremely competitive. But that leads me to our final question. How do we fix NBA media, and is it even possible at this point? Before I tell you how we as collective basketball fans can fix NBA media, I want to say it's not every single retired player talking bad about the game. While Gilbert Arenas, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce do have their old head moments from time to time, they also actually watch the games, and they'll actively praise today's players. Before he became the head coach of the Lakers, JJ Redick's podcast was also an amazing show that helped break down the current state of basketball while also praising the young talent in the league. Even Carmelo Anthony's podcast, which at times can be more about other sports, is also another great show that helps promote current stars. But here's how we really fix NBA media. Just don't entertain it. By that I mean just don't take Shaq seriously. Don't take Stephen A. Smith or Draymond Green seriously. I mean, I watch Stephen A. and Draymond and Shaq all the time, but I just take it as pure entertainment value. I don't take it as serious basketball talk, and instead listen to people who actually care about the game, people who legitimately watch as much basketball as they can and can actually break it down and understand how the game works. And honestly, I gotta show some love to some of my YouTube colleagues because I watch some of their content and I'm amazed at some of the analysis that they bring. Whether it's Kenny from King of the Fourth Quarter, fellow YouTuber Casey from AM Hoops, my OG Day One Get Like Coop, or more recently I've been watching a lot of Swish Outs content. I bring all these individuals up to make an even broader statement. Engage with the media and support the media that you actually care about and can rely on to give you good information or just more entertaining content. It's really that simple. Otherwise, if Stephen A. Smith changing his opinion every week gets millions of views, or Shaq literally admitting he doesn't watch basketball keeps getting views, large media publications will keep paying them and keep plastering them on as many TV shows as humanly possible. Plus, it will incentivize those people to actually watch the games. I mean, seriously, I for one cannot believe that Shaq doesn't know the coach of every team or watches basketball. That is actually just insane to me because I know each and every coach of each and every team off the top of my head. But who knows, maybe you disagree. I'm genuinely curious about some other solutions to this issue. Do we need better pundits? Do we need to stop watching these shows entirely? Or maybe it's a mix of both. And as both improve, the NBA's media will get better as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I don't know if you've heard, but James Harden completely resurrected his career. It's probably the first time I talked well about the Los Angeles Clippers. I'll leave a link to that video in the end screen. I'll meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.